Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining. Let me just start sharing my screen. So though we have covered this session earlier also quite some time, we were on this GitHub training and then data miner. Then last week we covered like GitHub. How do we search GitHub? So we'll quickly search on a GitHub, just try to see how to get the profiles on a GitHub. We'll not dive deep onto the GitHub. It's just on a very high level search on a GitHub. And once we perform a search on a GitHub, what we'll do is like we'll create a recipes on a data miner. So data miner might not be in depth because for most of you it's repetitive, but just in case if you have any doubts while creating a recipe, please feel free to ask the question. And once we create the recipe, once we scrape the data by using a data miner, we'll upload it to Seekout. That's basically a free version what I'm using just for this. Otherwise, I have a paid version also from my office, but otherwise I have a personal version. That's a free version basically. So how do we upload the data in that, and how can we see the enriched leads basically? So it's basically converting raw data to the enriched leads. When I say enriched leads, something like, let's say if you have an email ID of the person, name and email ID and the company name of the person, you upload to Seekout, you'll be able to see their information based on their LinkedIn, based on their GitHub profile or any other social profiles. So that's how we'll end up the session. So yeah, let's start with GitHub first. So as I mentioned, GitHub, a number of times we covered this session. From last 1 month we have been covering, but just in case if you have any doubts, feel free to ask. But otherwise, let's give a simple search. Just a Java. Then from here we go to advanced search. So here we have something called written in language. In case if we are targeting the particular repositories, then we can go with the particular written in language. But otherwise, directly scroll down to the user option and user working in this particular language based on their GitHub profile, based on their repositories. So let's say Java. Let's say Bangalore. If you want to add people with this many followers, feel free to add. 20.50 is nothing but minimum 20 up to 50 followers. You'll be able to get it. Our list of profiles who has minimum 20 and up to 50 followers. More than 200, you will get a list of profiles who has more than 200 followers. Less than 200, you'll get a list of profiles who has a less than. So whenever we are using more than or less than, so it should be like this. But if it is between two different number, then it should be followed by 2 ... It shouldn't be like, okay, I want someone more than 10, then less than 100. This command is basically wrong because GitHub would not understand. If we want someone who is between 10 to 100, 10 ... 100 should be enough. So whoever has minimum 10 and up to 100 followers will get that particular ranges. So don't get confused over there. So I'll just go with a very simple version of it from location Bangalore and working in language Java. Once we give a search, we got an enough number of users. Then we see here their bio, or when I say bio, let's see if I go to GitHub and if I go to my own profile, and once I go to edit, so here you have a bio. So whatever they mention here, that we are able to see here in the bio. Otherwise, location and the email ID. So this is their username, and it's a clickable. So there's a URL existing behind that. And then this is again a user ID. Again, it's a clickable URL existing behind that. And then this is bio, which is basically nothing but whatever they have written the text over here. This we are able to see, and then location and then email ID. So for most of them, there's an email ID, but very few of them wanted to keep it confidential, so they won't disclose it. But otherwise, we have other ways to identify those email IDs. So let's say now from this bios, we want someone who would have mentioned software engineer or software developer or anything like that. We just go software engineer. software developer or MTS or SMTS. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. So yeah, we got 882, and whatever we are mentioning here, software engineer, software developer, SDE, MTS or SMTS, not necessary. This is only in a bio. It could be from anywhere on the entire GitHub page. Let's see in case if we are able to get such examples. Who has not mentioned software engineer or software developer, but still we are able to see those results. So state. Anyways, most of them has mentioned, but there might be some 1 or 2 result who would have not mentioned. The reason of that, because it's picking up from the entire GitHub page. Let's go to page number 50 directly. Anyways, most of them has mentioned. So let's move in interest of time. 1 or 2 results you might see, but just for a note, not necessary they would have written in the bio, though you might get such results. Once you open the profile, you'll be able to see those particular words are appearing somewhere on their GitHub page. It could be their repositories or it could be anything. All right. So now let's say we want someone who joined after or who joined before 2016, as we are in 2022. So someone who joined before 2016 at least. That was a time not much freshers or not much engineers who are in their final year were joining a GitHub. But now recent trend, if you see people who are there in a third year or final year also, they are joining. But ideally, if I want someone with 5+ years of experience, then I might see someone who would have joined before at least 2016. So who would have created their GitHub profile before 2016. So we would say created : that's a format of date, month, year, or year, date, month. Let me just check. In case if you're not sure about the format, about the created operator, just go here, and then you will be able to see your created on dates. So year hyphen month hyphen date. So let's say someone who created their GitHub profiles between 2 date ranges will give. As I mentioned, if you say after those particular date, then it would be, let's say if you're saying something like, okay, something like this. Okay, after 2013, so 1st of December 2013, and then before 1st of Feb 2016. So it's actually after means it's after. Today also it's after. Before means before. Before 10 years also it's before. So GitHub gets confused. It won't be able to understand. So that's reason it won't give the result. Let's see this one. So it won't found. So just to make the operator clear, we just remove this after and before. So 2013, then 2016. Here we'll get the list of profiles like this. So similarly, coming back here, so it's a format of year, month, and date, reverse. language Java, colon, someone who created their GitHub profile after 2010 hyphen month 12 hyphen 01 dot someone who created up to 2015 but not beyond that 2015 hyphen 12, let's say 2016 will take 2016 hyphen 12 hyphen 01. Okay. Then software engineer or software developer or SD or SMTS. We use a couple of keywords at the last. That's reason operator driven keywords which needs an operator we are using in the beginning, and a normal keywords which does not need any operators we are using over here. So yeah, we get around 400 plus users. So I'll take a pause. Any doubt around confusion around created or anything? One is like created before, created after, and in case if you want between two date ranges, we no need to mention after or before, just the dot is enough between those particular two dates. And it shouldn't be like 2016 coming here and 2010 coming here. Again, that's a wrong ask. So it's like from 2010 to 2016. It shouldn't be like from 2016 to 2010. We can't go backward. We have to come forward. All right. Iti or anyone, last time you were asking, any confusion on this?
No, Shiv, now it is much clear. You know, I did try it earlier after my last thing, so I was able to find few things. But yeah, this particular part which you told right now it is much clear. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for your reference, I'll mention here in the notes. Maybe later on you can take it. Right. So now we got around 400 plus profiles. I think with this user account, I've already consumed my data miner. So let me just go. So data miner will give you 500 pages per month, but never ever cross that 500 pages per month, because the moment you cross 500 pages per month, it says that you have exhausted your limitation and you need to upgrade. So maximum go up to 400, 450 pages and then stop over there. Then again, next month, whenever you complete those 30-day cycle, again, you'll get that 500 credits back. Basically using a data miner, you can scrape 500 pages for free for a month, and that is sufficient enough, in fact. All right, so let's say this is the search here.
Hi Shiv, just a question. This data mine, it comes under this GitHub itself?
No, this is this is a different recipe creator. Actually, this is a data mining tool called data
what
miner.
exactly this does?
Okay, so this is a data mining tool. So what it does is like, now let's suppose if you want this entire data, now copy pasting takes too much of time, one thing, and the formats will not be correct. So let's say if I wanted to copy paste like this, let's go up to here. Okay, so this is how you're copy pasting. You're just copying and then pasting. It's not like structured, it's not curated. But what if you want in one particular column name, in particular column email ID, in particular column additional details. In case if you want that way, then that's where we go ahead and use a data miner to scrape the data. We'll cover that now.
So basically, this data miner is where we also get the candidates. I mean, we can source over there. I'm really not clear about
Sourcing we're doing on GitHub, or you're doing on LinkedIn, or you're doing on HackerRank, whichever the web page, whichever the website, you're doing a sourcing. But if you want the data from that website to be scraped to the Excel, then the data miner is an external tool which does that job. It scrapes the data from the various sites.
Okay, so basically from GitHub, you're by using this data mining, you're taking the candidate details from the GitHub and putting, and you're pasting it in
Exporting
Google
it to
Sheet.
Excel. Simple. We're scraping a data. We're taking a data from GitHub or LinkedIn or whichever the site we want, and we're exporting it to Excel so that we get the curated data. Now let's say if this data, we can also copy paste, but the formatting would be like this. So how will I, means if I want to say, okay, one by one, it takes a lot of time in case if I want to reach out from this kind of Excel. But rather, if I come up with a curated Excel where we have their first names in one column, last names in one column, or full names in one column, email IDs in one column, their bio in one column, their user ID of GitHub in one column. So it makes us easy for reaching them out while we do the mail merge or any kind of activity. So it's more of a curated data what we get when we use a data miner. So let's say now these are the candidates and we wanted to scrape data, or we wanted a detail for this candidate. So here there are two recipes. Now data miner has actually upgraded. I'm still sticking to the older version of it, but otherwise if you can just go to dataminer.io, you'll be able to see their recent recipe. And if you're, and there are fantastic videos about the explanation how to use these recipes. If you want to use the latest version, please go ahead and take a look at those. But otherwise, I'm still using the old ones. Recent ones, I have not explored it yet. But otherwise, if you say new released version 5.7, it is. I'm using, I don't know, maybe 2-3 version. So you just add to Chrome, and here the way you see, one is a recipe creator, one is a data miner, two different tools, two different extensions. But wherein I think the latest version would do with the one extension itself the same job. We don't really need two extensions. But otherwise, previous one is also pretty easy. It's just that a little bit of DIDP is needed. Okay. So if you just go through this website, you have all the details. You have a videos. They'll explain you how to use the data miner and everything. But otherwise, we must be covering few terms which might help you when you might be using a latest version of a data miner. But otherwise, let's go with the old version. So let's say now we have this candidate details here. Anyways, I'm logged in here. Then we just go here on a recipe creator. First, we go on a page where we have a list of results. Then this is a recipe creator. We click on this. Let me share a link to this as well. So this is a recipe creator. And let me share a link to this as well, data miner. In case if you're not able to find in a Chrome store, just directly click on those links and you'll be able to add them into Chrome store via Chrome. All right, so let's close this now. So yeah, here we have a candidate details. So I would say click on a recipe creator. Recipe creator is nothing but we're creating a command using a data miner. We are creating a particular command. We are creating one particular method of scraping that data. So let's say new recipe. So here we have a results as per the list. Now let's say if you're going for LinkedIn where you open a first profile, Then you have a widget uh, which will help us to move it to the next profile. Like let's say there are a list of 10 profiles. First I view first profile, then I have a widget. I click on that. It will go from 1 to second page and show me the second profile. Then again, it will go second to third page, show me the second profile. So if you want to scrape a data profile wise, then you can go always with the detailed page version, which I've never done because that is way too much of work. But otherwise, when we see the list of results on any of the pages, we can simply click the list pages. So it's asking us what kind of a page is this that you're going to scrape. Is that the detailed page, which is the complete GitHub profile or LinkedIn profile or Stack Overflow profile of the candidate? Or is it a page which has a list of profiles of the number of candidates? So I would say this is the page which has a list of profiles. Hence, we take a list of pages, list page. Then we select row. Like in Excel, we have columns and rows. Similarly, here also we have a rows and columns. So what are the rows? These are all the rows. Then, so how are we going to select? Now, once we click on a row, so it says find that particular element, which row data you wanted to collect. Like if this is a list page, this is the first row, this is the second row, this is the third row, this is the fourth row, this is the fifth row, this is the sixth row. Like that, you have a list of 10 rows in one particular page of a GitHub. So similarly, when I click on row count, so it's basically asking us just find that particular row element. So if you see, use find tool to select the part of a page that will become one row for your output CSV file. The container selected should wrap all the info you need in a one particular row. So a row selected should contain all the information that we need to scrape. So now let's say what I need to scrape, what we need to scrape. We need to scrape their full name. We need to scrape their user ID. We need to scrape their some bio, what they return. We need to scrape their location. We need to scrape their email ID. In case if you need to scrape their profile pic also, you can still do that. A location of the profile pic, you can scrape it. But otherwise, now let's say we click on use the find tool. This is a find tool. We click on this. Now we need to select a row. So before going over there, any page, basically in a layman language, any page is a collection of boxes. In technical language, any web page is basically a collection of objects. And that's where we use an object-oriented programming languages to give a life to the pages. If there is no programming language behind it, it would be only the page. It does not have a life. But what I mean by giving a life to this particular page, like if we hover over here, then it's asked us to click. If we hover over here, it's asked us to click. If we hover over here, it's giving an option to click. That means there's a functionality behind it. To create that functionality behind it, to connect to the database, we need the object-oriented languages. So that's the reason we call it as object-oriented languages, because those languages are basically giving a life to these particular objects. Let's say if I select all here, Control A, you see there are all the various boxes. So every web page, any web page is basically a collection of boxes. All right. So now it's asking us to select that particular row. So we click on find. Now, if you see, it's selecting all those objects, those boxes. If I just go here, if I go here, if I go here, if I go here, this, it's selecting all those particular boxes. So what this says is like, select the row, select only the row from where we need specific information from the web page. So that's the reason we are going to select that specific row. Do we need this row?
No.
Do we need this row?
No.
This?
No.
Okay, this?
No.
Yes.
Why yes?
The only thing that we want is that row, right? Like the whole.
We need the
It's a bigger object.
below
Still,
one.
it's a bigger object. Under this, all the information will fall. That's where the slight mess we do sometimes. We select this element And then later on, we see that it's not working. Why it's not working? Though it's working, but it's actually scraping only 1% data which we selected. Now, if you see here, closely observe here, here is one row, which is means a bigger object. Under this object, under this box. So it's like box in box. Now, if I say this is the full box, this is the full box, then you open one more box, you have little smaller box. You open one more box, you have little smaller box. If you remember in your childhood, our friends used to wrap up the gifts within the box in box in box in box in like that. So similarly, this is also a bigger box. Then under this box, we have this box, we have this box. Then under this box, we have this box or this box. There are two boxes in this box. In this bigger box, I don't know how many boxes are there, but if you see in that bigger box, one box, two box, okay, this one box, and this is one more box. So like that. So again, under this box, we have one more box and one more box. Now, if you see, this is the box actually where we have the user name, user ID, bio, then location and email ID. So we might get disconnected in next 3 to 4 minutes. Please relog in using the same login details. So we want this box. Sometimes even when I was a beginner, I did these mistakes. I was actually selecting this box where the list of information of the candidate is there. But while we were scraping the data, it was only scraping for one person. It was not scraping for all the 10 persons. And sometimes it was not even working. So that's the small miss sometimes we might do, which I learned after doing so many mistakes. So just wanted to call it out. So if you see, here is one box, here is one box, here is one box, and then here. So what we need is these boxes, this box. So again, under this box, we have again these small boxes. Okay, we'll come to that small boxes when we go to the column. So now we are in this row. So we need this row boxes. There's like if you see these lines now, you're able to see these lines, right?
Yes, Shiv.
Yeah, those boxes we need. So let's say we select this box. Now on our keypad, we click on Shift. Then it gets selected with the orange dots. Now it says to confirm the element. So now select one or more of the element attribute which uniquely identify the element of the page option. You can click on select parent to expand the scope of the current selector. We'll come there. What is a parent element? What is a child element and all, or what is a sibling element? But otherwise in a layman language, just say that, okay, now you have selected this box. Now you wanted to confirm that box. First, it has got highlighted with the orange dot. Now we wanted to see, once we select this particular row, is there an element from here? Is there a box? Is there a particular option, particular element from here, which is selecting, in fact, all the boxes? So let's say we select this. It's selecting all the boxes, but it also selecting some unwanted box. So we don't want that. Let's say this. Okay. So this is selecting all the boxes. Is it selecting any unwanted box? No, it's not selecting any unwanted box. So first it's got highlighted with orange. Now it started selecting all the box which has a user information and started highlighting with a green background. So not necessary that we are selecting only first box. If I just close this and again come here, find, you can in fact even select the third box and then again Shift. And when it is asking to confirm the element, so if I click on this, it's selecting unwanted boxes. So we click here. Yeah, this is selecting only the box which has a relevant information. So we can select
So
any.
Shivan question. So is it taking all 439 users or how is it only first page it is taking?
We'll come there. We have less than a minute. Might get disconnected. So please log in. You had a valid question. I'll answer you in next part.
Sure.
So this box is also selecting all the right boxes. Even this element is also selecting all the right boxes. So any three from here.